Hi everyone, welcome to new video. In this video, we are covering a new topic, that is a state management. So I have this brand new project. It's a Flutter default project where we have a counter app. So if I just reset the whole thing, the counter will set to the 0 that you guys already know. So if I click on this button, which will increment the number from 0 to the number that you wanted, like a just increment of the number. So if you observe closely, if I click on the button, the only number is changing, and the other remaining things like a nav bar, or the app bar, the text and the button, it remains in the same position. Only one thing is changing, is this the number, right? So this number is been captured in a variable. If you could see here, it is captured in a variable called counter. It is a state. So why do we call this as a state? Because it is a value or a data that can change often over time. So it is the data that can change, right? So it's a variable, or it's basically, we call it as state because it stores a value where that value will change in the overall data, and it will affect the UI also, right? And if you observe this, whatever the app that I've given, the code, they have this scaffold and the app bar, and app bar have a title that is nothing but which is here in the widget.text, that is nothing but a Flutter demo which they have given here. Title they're just bringing from here, that's all. And we have a column which is containing a text that says you have pushed the button this many times, and we have a text. The widget, it is a widget where it is taking a variable. It is actually having a state, okay, and state is nothing but a value that will be oftenly changed. And there's also one button which is on press, which is executing a function, and inside this function you can see we have used set state. We basically use set state to tell Flutter that there is a change in this variable. We want to, whenever there's a change in a variable, we will tell Flutter to rebuild this state, right? Because we see, whenever you click on a button, we want to update the value. We don't want it to be like in the still state. If the value is in 0 right now, when I click on the button, I want it to turn to 1. If I don't see the changes, then I feel that the app is broke, or maybe it is not working, right? So to achieve that, to show the instant result, we use setState, which will tell Flutter that there is a change in a variable and I want to rebuild this. So basically, you are rebuilding this text state. Okay, you are rebuilding this text widget where it is having this state, right? So it is telling there's a change in this variable. So just try to call that. Try to rebuild this. I hope you understand the state, concept of state. So state is nothing but a data or the value that can change over time, and it will affect the UI. And you might take another example like a checkbox, right? This is two state. One is a true, that is checked, and unchecked. And there is like many other states you can take, like literally. If you see your social media liked and unliked, you like your post, right? That is also a kind of state. So I think you guys know about state. There's a two type of state you might have heard. One is a local and a global state. So you might heard about this local state and a global state. So there's nothing more difference. It's just like how and where you get the data from. See, in the local state, usually the data will be the need for the data is very local. It is like very small. If you could see here, let's imagine there's an your main screen that let it be an app or the scaffolder, and it has a two main widget. One is a text and another one is a checkbox. So whenever you check that, if you remember or just imagine of the to-do list, you will have a text that is your to-do, and there will be a checkbox. If you have done with the task, you can check that box, right? So whenever there's a check in a box, you want to cross that text. So in this condition, the state of the checked or unchecked can be locally be stored, right? It can be locally managed, because it's just like you want a condition whether the text is checked or not. Based on that, you are dealing with a text. So you can just have this local state and you can deal. It's just you need it for a small area. When it is a global, for a global state, so let's take one more scenario, same scenario, but in the global state, let's imagine there's a two screen. One is an home screen where you have a list of to dos, and there's another screen where you can add the list, I mean you can add the to dos, which has the input and the button. Okay, I hope you are clear. There's a two screen. One is an home screen where you see the list of the I mean your to dos, and how do you add your to do is by the add to do screen. Okay, here if you could see, when you add when you add an input, when you write your list onto the input, and when you submit it, so as soon as you entered in the input, and the when you click on the arrow mark, when you click on this button, right, it have to be updated onto this home screen, right? I hope it is clear. I'll explain it again. The moment when you add something on to your ads, when you come to your ad to do screen and you enter the whatever the to do you want and you click on this button, that list have to be shown here in the list. To be honest, it should be in to do list, right? So you want to update the data across the app. You want that app, the whatever data you are dealing in the to do screen, add to do screen, have to be shown in the home screen also, right? Now the data has been like, you want the data to be in somewhere else. You don't want that to be in a local. Whereas in this state, we don't care about this text to be rendered somewhere else. It's just a local. We want it to be a small area, but here your text may be depending on many things. Like if you take one more example, like in your shopping cart, etc., whenever you add something, it will be imagine you are in the search screen where you add a list. When you add one item to your cart, and if you go into the cart screen, you'll able to see what the item you have added. So that's how the data has been it is this like data is shown in the two screens. So this what it is called as global state. Okay, you have to understand one thing. As the complexity of the app increases, you want the data to be rendered in different screens. In that case, to manage that state or the data, as I told, data and state are kind of same. And to manage that, we want something. We now using a set state, but there's a one drawback in using set state. Okay, now let's understand what is the withdraw. The limitation of using the set state, because if you have the small app, using set state is okay, it's normal, because the data flow and the data needed for the different components are little less. But what is the one disadvantage of using the set state in the complex app? As the app complexity increases, to manage all this state and the data become very very tough. That's where we switch to some of the other than the state, other managements than the set state, like provider, blog, etc., etc. So now let's to understand its limitation, let's take one simple example. So let's imagine we have this app, let it be a scaffolder, and in order to, we want data to be rendered in an app. Let's say we want an data to be rendered in the, so I want a text to be rendered in the app also, and also I want the same text to be rendered in the level 3. Let it be a level, the one more components. These are all components. Okay, Inside this component I want this level 2 and level. Inside level 3 I want level inside level 2 I want level 3. It's nothing but a widget, a simple widget. Okay, inside this I wanted text to be rendered, and you have the data. So basically from here to here you are you want to render data. You are like traversing the text from an app to the level 3. Okay, first we'll do this and let's come back here. Okay, as an example we have created 3 states. In the main app state we have this the home screen. Okay, basically we are rendering the home page. That is nothing but it has a scaffold with a app bar which is having the data. So I hope this you are clear. Our home screen has a data. We want to share this data to the level 3. Okay, level 3 widget. So I'm just giving a simple example so it makes sense when you really apply this to your scenario. Maybe you are doing a to-do list or something. So in the main we have a data that is called as state management, which is just a string. So we want to render that in the app bar, and we already did. You can see, and in the body we are just replace that with the other widget that is called a level 1, which is nothing but a container with a level 2, which is again just replacing that with a level 3. And this level 3 which has a text, and we want the data to be here. Now I have just wrote have hard coded the value. So instead of that, let's try to pass the data right now. So I want the state management data to be in the here. Okay, how do I do it? I want to do something called as data passing, also called as data propping, that is data drilling. Okay, so how do I get that data? This string to the downwards. You are going from a parent to the child, so I can easily pass the data. So I can come to this level 1 and say I want to pass a data, let's say a text, and the text is nothing but a data. So what I have to do in the level 1, since it's a stateless widget, I can just come down here and create a property. It's a class, right? In a class you can create a property and methods. How can I create? And I use final keyword because there's a little difference between a stateless and stateful widget. In stateful widget the things will rebuild. Okay, in stateless widget it doesn't rebuild. It just gets it once built, and if it wants to change something it will destroy, then it will build again. So there's no such thing called rebuilding and all. So destroy, then it builds. Okay, so that's why we use a final keyword. So I want a variable that has to be string called text. Okay, and inside instead of super.key I'll just replace that with the required this dot, it's a constructor text. So whenever whoever calling this class, there will be a default constructor will be applied that want a text, and that text have to be data. Let's correct it, there's a typo error, so make sure it is not. Next, now it is in the level 1. Now our data, we can see that in the level 1. Okay, now it's our job to move the same data to level 2. So let's do the same thing. Let's come down here. Let's copy the same thing. Instead of level 1, I just have to replace that with the level 2. Okay, and as I told, whenever you call this class that is level 2, I have to pass an property that is text, and that is nothing but whatever the text that we have here, I just have to pass it down here. So you might be confused why it is as named as text, because this what we have did it in the last, right? Here it is named as data, the data we are passing. Here when you come here down, the keyword or the text that you are getting from the main class is the text, right? So that's what you are passing, so don't have to worry. Just pause the video if you don't get, just go back and just see it. Okay, we did it for now. The data is in level 2. I just want to take that to the level that is the final state. Instead of data here, I want to want to give a data that is a state management. So how do I do it in level 3? Same way what we did for the level 2. I'll just copy the same thing, come down here, paste. Instead of level 2, I'll just replace that with the level 3. And here I want to call a property text that is passing a data that is text. So now we have this data from the main. What is that mean? The app screen, right? Home page. We have this data, right? From here, we are able to do something called a prop dilling, and we can able to pass the data down here. And instead of writing this, I can just write text. And if I save, which should change because it's a state that is, it's a variable that has been transferred from the home screen to down level 3. I hope it is clear, right? Okay. This is fine. If you have this small app, this condition is totally fine of passing data from one screen to another or one widget to another. It is totally fine. But let's imagine there's like complex app you want to build, like any e-commerce app or something, which you can't do this always because observe in a diagram. All we want the text to be in the app screen, that is in the app bar, and in the level 3 text, right? And these two stages that you are passing, that level 1 and the level 2, the two components of the widget that you are passing, it's unnecessary. We don't want the text. We are not using that text here anywhere, but we are passing it. So whoever developers they really hate this. This way is very complex and also unnecessary. We don't want our code to be messed, right? And passing an unnecessary things where we are not even using it, it's like expensive and also it's an useless thing. So instead of this, people thought using the set state is good if you have a little like less complex apps. This is fine for that. But if the apps get little complex, we tend to use something called provider. Okay, and this is that recommended also. You can check the documentation, and they have given ways how to create, what to do, etc., etc. And I'll explain this in the simple words. All you have to do is copy this, make sure you have installed this package. And how this provider works is, okay, in the last time when I explained about this set state, I told when I wanted this this data to be placed in two different places, that is from the app bar and also in the widget. It is placed in the center of the text, right? And the other two widget, which is just a widget that is like helping this data to just traverse from this app bar to the level 3, and all it is doing is traversing. It is nowhere using this data. It is just it has the data, but it is not using, right? We are just using a prop drilling, and it is fine if you have this app is like little small. It's like doesn't have complex things. It's just a small logic thing. Then it's fine. But when it comes to complex things, like you want that text to be in the somewhere else, like the need of it is like big, the app is like complex, and in that time storing a text or some data in the main, and if you start passing it, then it becomes very complex. Prop drilling becomes very complex at that stage. So that's where we switch to this change. The provider what you have seen here, right? This is what we'll be switching to. The working is so simple. Okay, it is just like, okay, I will not pass the data to this unnecessary widget. I don't want to waste time. That expense I don't have. So let's not pass to the widget that doesn't have. I'll just pass to the widget which is needed. And how will I know if I needed this widget? How do I know this widget needs this? Is this widget will be listening to the change. Okay, I'll explain it. Listen. So the whole app, the whole widget or whole the state which needs the data will be wrapped with the change notify provider. It's just like a manager who distributes the works. Clear? And he distributes the work who only needs it. Okay, it doesn't distribute who have not yet completed or who is not even in the list. Clear? So we will first create a data that we want. Let's imagine you have this counter app again, and the counter is an state, right? We'll keep that state inside this data storage. It's just a simple class. Okay, it's a class which extends this change notifier, and change notifier is from the Flutter. I'll explain this when we start coding. For now, just understand the concept. So this change notifier is from the Flutter. It just provides few things that was so important. Like it provides something called listen notifier. What it helps is, let's say we are storing a data here. Let the data be counter, which let it be in the initial state of 0. Okay. Whenever this data change from 0 to 1, we want something to be tracking. We want something to be listening to. When it change, we want to tell this widget to rebuild. Why do we want to rebuild this? Because we want our UI to be updated. So in the Flutter, we always have to understand something that, like, whenever there's a change in a data, we usually set the state, right? So here also, instead of using set state, we are using something called listeners. It will be listening when the counter change from 0 to 1. It will listen the change in the data, and it will modify the text. It will tell this text widget to build, so whatever the change has been there, it will be reflected in the UI. Okay, let's see this in the action. So the first thing what I'll do is, I'll just go to terminal and make sure I will install this package. I've already installed it. Whoever not, make sure you are installing. Once it is installed, make sure you have imported that package. Done. Okay. The next step I have to do is just make sure it is not clumsy. Okay. Next thing that I have to do is, instead of me passing the data down the child from a parent, I want to do this provider. That is nothing but I want to create something like a class or a database where I can wrap the whole my app which wants the data, and I can just give to some widget that it is really required instead of something which is not. Right? Okay. First job is, I have to create a storage. It's like a data. Okay. It's a change notifier. It's a class which is taking a data. So let's create a class which should have a property. For now, what is our status? Our state is this data, right? Our state you are seeing here is, it's a data which is in the app, my app state, which is in the home page. Which is in the home page. This is our state, and we are just passing that to down below, right? So let's keep this inside the class. So let the class be data, and we want to extend this from the change notifier. And what is this change notifier? It is nothing but it helps to it just gives some property like listeners, which will tell whenever there's a change in a data, it will notify those widgets to rebuild. Okay. So inside this class, I want one property that is nothing but a string. Let it be a text, which is nothing but this state management. I'll just copy this and paste it below, and make sure, let's end this since it's a final. Okay, we have this class. Okay, and we have this property called string. Done. Okay, the next step I have to do is, I want to give this data, I want this data to be placed in this widget tree. The overall widget tree, I want to wrap this data. Whoever asking for this text can able to get this text. So what I'll do, I'll wrap the whole thing, whole widget, whole tree with the provider. So I'll just go in the scaffold and I'll wrap the widget that is called as change notifier provider, and I will specify what kind of data it is passing. It is passing a data, and it is throwing error because we have this data, right? That's why it is throwing error. Just remove this. Okay. And the next thing is, it wants a required field that is a create. So it's just a callback function which which is like it is telling what kind of data we are passing. We are just passing this class that is a data that is from the change notifier. So whenever there's change in a text, we want to notify this to the widgets, right? So you are telling I want to pass this data, which is nothing but a home. It is from the change notifier. Clear? Okay. Now we have did two things. I'll go back to diagram. We did two things. One is we have created this storage box. It's like it is containing all the states which is like able to change, which the state is nothing but a value that is like eventually it will change and it will affect the UI. And we have wrapped the whole thing with this UI. So whoever, let's say if this also wants to listen to the changes, and if it wants to update the text, you can able to provide it. This is the whole concept of wrapping the things. Okay, so next thing is, let's see how can we directly pass it. Okay, so back in code, so let's remove this prop drilling. Let's remove this unnecessary thing from the level 2 to level 3. Also we don't want that to be in the level 1 also. Just remove this unnecessary things. Here we are, like just remove this. Okay, we have removed the remove the data that we are passing. So level 2 and level 1 has nothing to do right now, right? All I have to do is I want to render the text in level 1, in the main app, that is in the app bar, and also in the level 3, which is throwing an error because we don't have text. Fine. So instead of me writing data which is not there, what I'll do is I am just passing this data from the change notifier to that particular widget. So I want that to be in the app bar. So I'll write context dot, okay, the C should be small, dot. There's two things, one is watch and one more is read. We have to use read and watch for a different situation. Before that, let's keep this change notifier above this my app state only, because let it be in the superior instead of in the home screen. So just let's remove this. Let the text be like this only. I'll just remove this widget. Okay, I'll just keep this here, which is a change notifier provider, and make sure the data here is nothing but the data we are getting from that class. And also it have to take one more thing called create, which is just a callback function, which is giving a data that is called data, okay, which is from the data class. Okay, now the next thing is we have this, the main manager, he have to distribute data to the two things, in the app bar and in the text field. So here what we'll do, here in the text I'll just write a context dot, as I told, there's a two things, one is a read, another one is a watch. So why do we have this read and watches? Because see, as you saw in the first example, when you click on the button, the text is changing, right? So what do you think? Do you think the button should be rebuilt again? No, because button is just doing some actions. The actual thing that is changing is the text, right? So sometimes the element don't have to build. It's unnecessary expensive things. So we just want something that is changing have to be built. So in that time, when you want when you want to just read, you don't have to rebuild. Usually that will be used in an actions. Like when you click on buttons, we use this read because it don't have to be rebuilt. It just have to do its actions. Where you do watch, because whenever there's a change in a value, we want that to be changed, and what we want, and inside this watch we have to tell what kind of data we are passing, and we are passing a class that is a data which is able to get a text. Clear? And the same thing, we just want to copy this and put it in the below, right below in the text field. Instead of text, I have to tell I want a text in specifics. Now if you could see the state management and statement, let's remove this. Let's write 1 2 3 4 some number, and if I hit save and make sure, I'll just restart the whole thing, and it should update the data. See, it is updating the data. Fine. So this is like a static situation where we are like manually hard coding the values, and you are changing it, right? So let's see the real situation. Like when there's a change in a text, we want that to immediately change. Example, let's include, instead of us with this text, let's include one more thing. Let's include a column. Let that column have a text field, the children's, which is one is a text, that is a normal, and another one is, let's include a text field. Okay, we have this text field. So whatever I want, right now it won't apply because we don't have on change. Okay, so whenever there's a change in a value, see, it's not because of on change. So whenever I write something, I want to update this on the app bar under text. So how can I do this as the next? So we are learning the real world situation. How do I update, or how it actually listens to the data? So for this, as I told, there's something called on change. Whenever there's a change in the state, whenever we get a new value, we want to set that value to the data that you are seeing, right? How can I do it? So the best way to do it is, I'll come to data here. So I'll create a callback function. Let it be like on text change. Okay. So which will take a string from the input. Let it be a text or input text. Okay. What it does is, it will just tell that I want the text to be the input text. Okay, right now the text is a value that I have given, right? So whenever I get whatever the text I'm getting from the input, I'll take that input and I'll make that as a text, so that I can change these both values. And okay, fine, this is fine, but who will tell us that there is a change in an input, and who will make this value to be equal to the text? So in order to do that, we have something called as a this is from this chain notifier, that is called as listen to the change. That is nothing but a notify listener. Okay, so what it will tell us, so whenever, okay, this method will be usually called here. Okay, when there's a change in the value, now it is a callback, right? So now it is callback, but instead of that, they will try to access this in the text field. So whenever there's a change in this value, it will be directly assigned to this text. So when it is assigned, we'll call this notify listener. When the notify listener is built, and this whole thing is been wrapped in the chain notifier, right? It will tell this widget to rebuild only this. This widget is nothing but the text from here, and also the app bar from here will rebuild. Only this two property will rebuild, and accept this other two any other properties is there, it doesn't rebuild. Okay, so how can we use this in the text field? So what we'll do here, we kept this as watch because whenever there's a change, we want to rebuild. Okay, if we keep that as read, it won't rebuild. I'll show you the example also. So before that, let's get this property from this. Okay, so I'll come back down here. So as I told earlier, whenever you want to use whenever there's an action to be done, so you got now the text field is nothing but a kind of action. Whatever the value you type, you want that value to be displayed here. So you will use you will use read. Why do we want to use read is because, see, we don't want this text style to be rebuilt again, which is waste of time, right? And also expense. So what we'll do, we'll just use on chain, that is the one we are getting on text change. So we'll just make sure here we'll call this on text change, and we have to pass a value that is nothing but a new value that we are getting from the inputs. We'll save it. So we'll just restart it again. So I'll explain this properly. Listen. So we have this provider which is nothing but which is getting data from here, right? So the data is actually changing is the text one. So and we made this text to watch. If you could see here, the text we are doing here is watch. We are making it watch because we want it to rebuild. We want this widget to rebuild whenever there's a change in a text. But the action here on change is nothing but the typing action what you're doing is right now. Now it is changing. We made that as read because we don't want to rebuild this text input again and again. So it reduces the expense also. Okay, this is the one way how you use this provider. Okay. So as there is a change in input, we can see there's a constant change that you can see in the text also. So this shows that what we are doing, basically we are passing the data to widget that we wanted, and also whenever there's a change in something, when there is a change in that text, okay, the state, when there's a change in the state, there's like constantly updating because it is listening to it. Okay, the each and every changes whenever we call this function on text change, that is nothing but whenever there's a change in the text, whenever the new text is added to the text field, we are assigning that to the text, that is nothing but a state, and we are telling that each and every time you have to rebuild. Which to rebuild? Only the text field, text widgets. Okay, I hope you understood this. So I have given a simple explanation or like a simple example just to understand the concept. Okay, so this is how we manage the state in the bigger complex state. If you just understand the concept, it is way too much good, because like when it comes to other like implementing the same concept, it is quite easy. So understand the concept first, so you can implement this to another. So that's all for today's video. And if you want to add Hive to this, state management plus Hive, there's one more video you can watch. I have made a video where you can save the state, and the state management is using this provider. So provider plus the state, the Hive has been used for the local storage. You can see that video if you want it. Thank you.